Okay. I am not going to use foul language in this video. I know you're so sad. Because I want this to be a professional video that can be played in public meetings, in college classrooms, and even halls of legislature. I talked a few times, and I am going to put videos down the link, about gun confiscation. And I talked about how gun confiscation was committed in New York City and California. I'm going to focus on what laws, and there are a lot of them, that New York City violated when they confiscated firearms in 1991 under Mayor Dinkins. Now, in 1966, I heard it was this guy. If I'm mistaken, I'll apologize in advance. In 1966, Police Commissioner Vincent Broderick allegedly stated that the Second Amendment had no place in the 20th century New York City. Citizens did not have a right to bear arms. I'm paraphrasing him. And you should have extraordinary reason to get a gun, blah, blah, blah. Now, in 1967, New York City began long gun registration. About 25% of the states in America, I could be wrong, register handguns. New York City began registering long guns a year after that statement was allegedly made in 1967. Long gun is defined as rifle or shotgun. Now, when they began registering long guns, a lot of New Yorkers panicked. And a lot of other New Yorkers said, it's just registration, no one's taking your gun from you, relax, blah, blah, blah. Well, keep this in mind. In 1967, New York City was registering firearms, was registering long guns. In 1967, you could legally buy a machine gun in California. So, as far as gun control is concerned, New York City was way ahead of, or as we like to say, way behind of the times. Now, in 1994, I'm going to skip around a little bit. On September 13th, 1994, the United States government outlawed any magazine with a capacity higher than 10, exempt from the ban were magazines that were already produced, and exempted certain evil features from long guns, rifles and shotguns. The ban continued until September 13, 2004, when President Bush Jr. refused to continue the ban, citing that it didn't work. Let's face it, stopping a law-abiding citizen from having a rifle with a collapsible buttstock is not going to stop crime. So they discontinued it. 40+ states went back to normal, back to the way they were 10, 11 years ago. Some other states, including New York, have certain laws on the state level. For instance, on October 1st, 2000, the Republican governor of New York wrote a weapons accessory ban almost identical to the federal ban. So in 2004, when the federal ban expired, we had a state ban in several states, New York being one of them. Keep in mind, New York today is loaded with pro-gun politicians. The New York State Senate is filled with pro-gun politicians. We have pro-gun congressmen voting for pro-gun legislation in D.C. Okay? My question is, where were all these guys 10, 12, 15 years ago? My hometown was thought of as a liberal city. We've had 3 consecutive pro-gun mayors, 2 Republicans serving 8 years apiece, and 1 conservative Democrat elected inaugurated this January. Now, New York State has a gun ban, and New York City has a gun ban. The New York State gun ban views rifles and shotguns separately. First, I talked about this before, I'm going to talk about it again. In New York State, if your rifle falls into all four of these categories, it is considered evil. No, it is subject to the ban. Semi-automatic, manufactured after September 13th, 1994, has a detachable box magazine, has a magazine that will physically feed more than 5 rounds. Okay, semi-automatic. Bolt action, pump action, and lever action rifles are exempt. September 13th, 1994 was the day of the federal ban. You can have a rifle made in 1991 and you can put any evil feature you want on it. It is exempt. Doesn't matter if you bought it yesterday, it's exempt. Detachable box magazine. Some weapons such as the M1 Garand top load an 8-round on clip, ENCLIP. The SKS rifle has a 10-round fixed magazine and it top loads a stripper clip. They are exempt. Sega. There is a company called Sega which makes what you could call bastardized AK rifles. They are AK-47s designed for sporting purposes only, and they claim to be legal in all 50 states. No pistol grip, no buttstock, no collapsible buttstock, no bayonets, no flash hiders, none of that. Sega shotguns chamber about 2 or 3 rounds. Sega rifles chamber 5 rounds. You physically cannot put a 30-round AK magazine into that rifle. It will not chamber. They are exempt. I could buy one of those and put any evil feature I want on it. No problem. The evil features are collapsible buttstock, which is a buttstock that allows the shooter to adjust the length for their comfort level. Similar to a car seat. Tall person moves the car seat back, short person moves it forward. It's the exact same thing. Pistol grip. A grip that allows you to hold on at an angle such as this. Some people like them, some people don't, some people are indifferent. A bayonet lug. Bayonet lug allows you to attach a bayonet to the rifle. Now, when you do this, the rifle becomes a spear, the bayonet becomes the point of the spear, and you can use it as a close quarter weapon. Army and Marine Corps soldiers and Marine Corps Marines are trained to fight hand-to-hand combat. It is a skill you must learn. It is very, very difficult for you to just pick it up and do it. Little known fact, there has never been a documented bayonet charge in all of American history outside of military combat. There has probably been a bayonet charge in every campaign the United States has ever fought. But outside of the military, armed citizen, police officer, criminal, there has never been a documented bayonet charge ever. Flash hider. Flash hider is a device that attached to the rifle to reduce the flame. When you fire a rifle, the rifle flames up. That flame hurts your eyes. Now, some people have to go 45 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours to drive to a rifle range. They will not fire 5 shots and go home. They will fire 200 or 300 shots to justify their being there. And the flash hider is there to protect their vision. You can probably wear sunglasses, but you get the idea. And there is a false belief that if I have a flash hider on my rifle and I hide in the woods, I am invisible. Not exactly so. You are allowed to have 1 feature on your rifle at a time out of those 4 in New York State. Shotguns. The shotgun ban says that if your shotgun is semi-automatic and was manufactured after October 1st, 2000, it may have 1 evil feature. A collapsible buttstock, a pistol grip, a detachable box magazine, or a capacity of more than 5 rounds. Now, I don't know about pistol grip, collapsible buttstock, that's taken care of. Some shotguns, like the Sega shotgun, have detachable box magazines. The sporting Sega shotguns physically will not hold more than 2 or 3 rounds. The tactical shotguns will hold a few more, between 10 and 20. Now, most shotguns fire from a traditional magazine, which is a tube that rides below the barrel. Okay? That can have no more than 5. Now, most automatic shotguns do not have more than 5 rounds. Some do, many do not. The 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds are usually in pump action shotguns. Now, the ban was written in New York State on October 1st, 2000. Therefore, any shotgun made before that is exempt. You can put anything you want on it. The same thing goes for... No, and it only applies to automatic shotguns. I can have a pump shotgun, I can have a lever shotgun, I can have a single barrel or a double barrel shotgun. They are exempt. Now, you can legally have all items in your possession. I can have a rifle on this table, a shotgun on this table, and a police officer can literally walk into my home. And he will say to me, he'll see the rifle with the collapsible buttstock, the pistol grip, the bayonet lug, and the flash hider. The shotgun, he'll see a 7-round tube, a pistol grip, and a collapsible buttstock. Note about the shotgun, there is no muzzle accessory banned from shotguns. Some shotguns have a muzzle accessory that allows you to blow a door off the hinges. It's made for SWAT team tactical entry. Some shotguns, not many, have a bayonet lug. You can put a bayonet on a shotgun without a problem. The bayonet is only evil on the rifle. The muzzle accessory is only evil on the rifle. Now, I could have the shotgun, 7-round tube, pistol grip, collapsible buttstock. The officer will say, you can legally have all the accessories, but you're only allowed to put one on at a time. Therefore, if I put one on, I got to take another one off in order to put the second one on. Okay, you get my meaning. Now, New York City has a ban that is totally different. New York City's ban was written in 1991. That is 3 years before the federal ban that expired in 2004, and 9 years before the state ban that is actually being contested now in state court. And there's another ban being contested in California in federal court. New York City's ban, the rifle, the semi-automatic shotgun, and the pump-action shotgun, I think, are intertwined. Pistol grip, collapsible buttstock, bayonet lug, flash hider. They have added on barrel shroud. They have a 5th evil feature. I can have a barrel shroud on a rifle in New York State with no problem. Now, New York City does not want any evil feature on the rifle, period. Not one, not two, none. New York City does not care when the rifle was manufactured. 1994, 2000, yesterday, they don't care. They also don't care about detachable box magazine, fixed position they don't care about any of that. Any semi-automatic rifle, period, any semi-automatic shotgun, and I think that pump-action shotgun is intertwined. So I can have a shotgun with a bayonet on in New York State, but I can't bring it to New York City. I can't own it if I live in New York City. Also, New York City does not acknowledge any gun rights from anywhere else in the state. I can legally take any rifle or shotgun I want to Albany, Rochester, Poughkeepsie, Niagara Falls. New York City will not allow me to bring in any firearm at all, period, unless I am a full-fledged police officer or a retired police officer. Now, New York City has a list this long of rifles that are banned, period. A list this long of shotguns that are banned, period. And a list of all the evil military-style features. Now, New York State would say, if you want to buy a rifle or a shotgun with these features, make sure the rifle or shotgun was manufactured before we wrote this law. If you have it now, you can keep it. If you want to buy a new one, make sure you buy a pre-banned rifle or shotgun, or buy pre-banned accessories. New York City took it 10 steps further. Remember the 1967 registration? Everyone that owned a long gun in 1967 in New York City until the present day has had their long gun registered. New York City sent a letter after they passed this resolution in the New York City Council. They sent a letter to every registered gun owner in the city. If you have one of these rifles or shotguns, or if you have a rifle or shotgun with these features, you have 90 days to do one of three things. Destroy it. Destroy means take a blowtorch and cut the barrel in half, pour cement down the barrel, run it over with a bulldozer or something like that. Okay? Get rid of. Get rid of means sell it to a friend outside of New York City. Or surrender, which means bring it into the police. Now keep this in mind. This was before England confiscated guns. Now, when New York City confiscated guns, there were several laws that were violated. Oh, New York City also said we will be conducting, quote, spot checks to make sure you're in compliance. And you must submit a sworn statement as to how you dispose of your weapon. Like, I swear to God, I told my friend in Westchester. That kind of thing. Under penalty of perjury, probably. Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of the free state. Of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Excuse me. Hello? Oh, okay. So you gonna be well? Ooh, okay. Okay, just be careful. Alright. Terribly sorry, I had a personal call I had to take. Okay. Well-regulated militia necessary for the security of the free state, of a free state. Now, years ago, every boy between 16 and death had a rifle or a musket or some kind of weapon, and God forbid something happened, he was called up to service. Also keep in mind, it was not the least bit uncommon for a woman to be trained in the use of firearms, because if her husband or son were out somewhere doing something, she had to defend herself. Now, today we don't have the militia. We have the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, and the police. And the police are the militia of the modern era. They are hired from the community, sent through specialized training, and it is their job to maintain the peace. Okay. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In 2008 and 2010, the United States Supreme Court said people is like the Second Amendment is like every other amendment. It applies to every person. So this garbage about the Second Amendment only applying to the government is garbage. Because what about the Fourth Amendment? Could the Fourth Amendment apply only to the government? No. How about the 10th Amendment? No. How about the, no, not the 10th Amendment. How about the 6th Amendment of the, no. The people. People get mail. People buy guns. So my opinion is the people are getting letters saying turn in your rifle or your shotgun. Now, when you get a letter in the mail saying you must surrender your rifle in 90 days, you're not under indictment for a crime. You're not on probation, you're not on parole, you're not a convicted felon, you're not a convicted domestic abuser, you haven't attempted suicide, and you're not mentally unstable. But you get a letter from the city saying turn in your weapon. As far as I'm concerned, that's a violation of the Second Amendment right there. Remember that garbage about spot checks? Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, this means that a police officer may search you or your house or your effects if he has a search warrant signed by a judge. Now, he has to go to the judge, put his hand on the Bible, and swear before the judge under oath that he honestly and reasonably believes these items are here and he must get them. He has to testify under penalty of perjury. Now, if the officer makes a mistake, that's called good faith. Okay? It's an honest mistake. But he has to honestly and reasonably believe he's correct. And he has to say, I'm going to go into this area, I'm going to search this area, I'm looking for this item specifically. Now, over the past 100 years or so, the Supreme Court has written about 25 exceptions to the Fourth Amendment, where a police officer can legally search you without a warrant and still be right. Now, I'll give you a couple examples, not many. Consent. If a police officer asks you for permission and you say, yes, I give you permission, you may not complain when he finds heroin under your kitchen sink. Emergency. If a police officer believes that an innocent person is in danger, he may go in. That means if he sees smoke, he doesn't know if there's an old lady that fell asleep with a cigarette in her mouth. He doesn't know if there's a little baby in there. He doesn't know. He is allowed to go into any place where he honestly believes an innocent person might be in danger of any nature, or evidence might be destroyed. If a police officer rings your doorbell and you yell out, flush the cocaine down the toilet, when he gets a search warrant, the cocaine is going to be gone. He may legally come in anyway. If a criminal is at large and he is afraid the criminal will escape, he may come in and seize the criminal. Okay? One more example. Any officer may legally go into any place where he honestly believes any crime is being committed. Any crime, whether it's a property crime or a personal crime. If he can visibly see crime with his eyes, if he can hear crime with his ears, he can go in. Okay? That's that. Now, officers conduct searches because they're looking for evidence of a crime, or they're looking for a criminal, an individual who has committed crime, or they're looking for an innocent person that is in danger and must be protected. That is the only reason. There is no other reason for an officer to search, period. None. If you go to a secure building, there's another exemption. If you go to a courthouse or a government building or an airport, you're going into a secure location. Therefore, they can search because they don't want you to assassinate a judge. They don't want you to hijack an airplane. You're going into a secure location, that's okay. But you're in your own home. You're not committing a crime. You're not a criminal. No person is in visible danger. There's no reason for an officer to come into your property under those circumstances. Now, when they say spot check, do they ring the bell and say, bring a gun in? Or do they physically come in and search? Spot check would mean they take a whole bunch of houses, pick some at random, and spot check them. Now, did these officers have search warrants to search these houses? I don't know. But even if they did have a search warrant, the search warrant is only legal when the police officer is telling the judge, I have reason to believe crime is being committed. I have reason to believe a person is in danger. Okay? If you're a police officer and you are not looking for crime, you're not looking for a criminal, you're not looking for evidence, you have no business asking a judge for a search warrant. And a judge has no business listening to you. None. Well, the city signed a law saying we get to go and look for these weapons. Well, the city's law was in violation of the Second Amendment. So you violating the Fourth Amendment doesn't make it any better. Okay, now let's talk about the Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature of the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with witnesses against him, to have compulsory processed for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have his assistance of counsel for his defense. That means public trial. Juvenile trial is private. Adult trial is public. Any citizen can come in and watch. Okay? Inform the charges. They have to tell you of the charges against you. Okay? They have to inform you of the charges. You have to sit there and confront the witnesses. You get to call your own witnesses. You have to have a legal counsel to help you. You can confront your prosecutor, confront your judge, and confront your jury. They can't drag you away and then mail you a letter saying, yo, you got 8 years in prison. Not good. I wanted to check one more thing, please. Now, the reason why I say this about the Sixth Amendment is because I honestly believe that the Sixth Amendment was violated. Here's my case. In order for the government to take your life, meaning the death penalty, in order for the government to take your liberty, meaning put you in prison, in order for the government to take your property, meaning anything that belongs to you, they must have proof beyond all reasonable doubt, and you must be basically convicted. Due process is a fancy way of saying innocent until proven guilty. These individuals that had their guns seized, they were not arrested, they were not put on trial, they were not convicted of a crime. They had their property seized from them, even though they were law-abiding citizens. Even though they did nothing wrong, even though they followed registration laws and they filled out their paperwork and they showed their ID and they weren't bothering anybody and the weapons were secured in their own homes, blah, blah, blah. They had agents of the law come into their home and seize their property. There was one individual who I would give a medal to, who lived in Staten Island, who said, I'm not going to surrender my weapons. He and the weapons went for a ride. Okay? So now you're seizing people. And I heard the penalty was like a $5,000 fine for not compliance. So these are the laws that were violated. Second, definitely. Fourth, definitely. Sixth, I'm 99% certain. Now, there's a video I am going to put in the link. It's a video that was made years ago. California started banning guns in 1989. These police officers are California police officers that are testifying before California legislators on behalf of the people. Take a hint, NYPD. Okay? And these officers are officers from major cities, major police departments, 20, 30 years experience. They personally oversaw confiscation of weapons from drug dealers, gangbangers, and God knows who else. Okay? Illegal weapons confiscated from criminals. These officers testified, and you get to see in the link how many the numbers were. The officers themselves will give their own numbers. These are the officers from the field. Okay? They're not Brady campaign slaves. They're not brainwashed politicians or brainwashed subjects. They are officers from the field. And they would say, I confiscated X number of weapons over a 25-year period. There are statistics for major cities. Los Angeles, New York City, New Orleans, Chicago, this city, that city, where they'll say X number of weapons were confiscated from criminals. Of that number, X were military style. Of that number, X were military. Here's the issue. The M16 is a military weapon because the old M16 fires fully automatic. The new M16 fires 3-round bursts. When they pull the trigger and 3 rounds come out. The AR-15 is a military style. It is a semi-automatic weapon, but it just looks like a military weapon. But if you go to a gunsmith with an M16 and an AR-15, you see one rifle, he sees 2. The inner workings are different. Okay? Now, these officers and these studies have said, out of every 1,000 gun crimes, 5, not 500, 5 crimes are committed with military style weapons, which are semi-automatic weapons that look like they're used by the military. And even less than that, maybe 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 2,000 is committed by a fully automatic weapon. So these so-called evil weapons are actually the least likely to be used by criminals. Also, remember, criminals don't buy their guns in the gun store because they're not allowed to own guns. They buy their guns in the street. And because they're criminals committing crime, the odds are they don't care about the law anyway, period, no discussion. Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Okay? So, you are confiscating from law-abiding citizens who are not bothering anybody at all, period, the weapons that are the least likely to be used to commit crime. Now, let's delve into my opinions here. The Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is made by hand. Therefore, there are not that many of them. A cheap Rolls Royce sells for minimum $200,000, which means there are not that many on the road. I am willing to bet my life that the Rolls Royce is the car least likely to be used to commit drunk driving. I know for a fact some rich guy somewhere, sometime, got drunk, got in his Rolls Royce, and had an accident. That had to have happened sometime in American history. Now, a police officer, well, a city council rules that Rolls Royces are illegal because of drunk driving. And a police officer goes to some guy's mansion and tells him, give me your Rolls Royce, it's mine now, we're taking it. You have an officer of the law who is confiscating the car least likely to be used to commit drunk driving from a sober person. And his justification is that I'm trying to stop drunk driving. Someone has a tumor in their stomach. To help them, you remove their brain. Well, at one point, you've made them into a liberal, but the tumor is still in their brain. It's still in their stomach. Okay? Many experts, and I consider myself an expert. I have a criminal justice associate's degree, a criminal justice bachelor's degree with honors, and my special interests are, as I've seen on this channel, gun rights and self-defense law. I consider myself a scholar on both subjects, as do my viewers. The stated goal of gun control is to protect the people. Many experts, myself included, believe the stated role of gun control is to have control. That's it. Adolf Hitler was the staunchest gun control advocate in history. The first Nuremberg law forbade the Jews from bearing arms. The Holocaust started with the Jews being deprived of arms. The Holocaust ended with my grandfather's unit liberating and excavating a concentration camp. Liberating the people from the concentration camp and excavating the mass grave of the bodies that they came too late for. Did they care about public safety? No. Here's the issue. This all happened before the emperor took over New York City. Emperor Bloomberg lives in the mayor's mansion, I think. The mayor has a mansion in New York City. My city, the mayor lives in his house. That city, the mayor lives in the mansion. Well, Emperor Bloomberg rides around in a limousine all day, escorted by armed guards. Guns are only used by criminals, and there's no reason for a gun except to hurt an innocent person. Why doesn't the emperor just wear a sign that says, "Don't shoot me"? Why does he need armed guards to protect him? I thought guns were bad. We had a county executive who was the co-founder of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. This county executive was fanatically anti-gun. He helped found Mayors Against Illegal Guns. It is believed, not proven, that he carried a gun. It is proven because we saw with our own eyes every time he was out in public, he had a detachment of county police detectives protecting him. If guns are only used for killing innocent people, like I said, wear a sign that says, "Don't kill me. Don't shoot me." Put a sign in front of your house that says, "Don't burglarize me. Don't home invade me." Okay? Put a sign up at the airport, "Please do not hijack planes." Why do we have an air marshal with a SIG P229 chambered in 57 SIG on it? Okay? That's the issue. In 2009, we voted out our anti-gun county executive and we replaced him with a pro-gun county executive. Take a hint, New York City. Okay? Now, this is to control crime and protect the people. Here's the issue. In the past 25 years, there have been an estimated 25,000 murders in New York City. September 11th in New York City alone killed over 2,000 people. So, but even excluding September 11th, what's that leave? Still about 22,000 people? Were all those people killed before 1991? I don't think so. There are estimated 1,000 murders a year in New York City. Some year will be 700, some year will be 600, some year will be 500, some year will be whatever, but it fluctuates up and down. There are an estimated 200 shootings a month in New York City, even though New York City doesn't give carry and conceal license to anybody except political appointees. Let me show you something. I forgot one thing. Hold on a minute. New York City forbids anyone from going out in public with a knife longer than 3 inches. This is 4 inches. Not allowed to bring it down there. This knife is a single-handed opener. It has a thumb stud on either side of the blade. I move the thumb stud out. New York City considers this a switchblade and has forbidden all citizens from owning them. New York City has stopped counting stabbings. New York City is experiencing a gilded age of stabbings and knife attacks. Their laws sure are working. Aren't they? So these are the laws New York City violated. Now, between the Second Amendment Foundation and the National Rifle Association, I cannot believe no one stopped this. No one filed a lawsuit. They weren't as powerful now as they are. They weren't as powerful then as they are now, but I can't get over none of them filed a lawsuit. Also, city judges. No city judge opened their mouth and said, wait a minute, you can't do this? City prosecutors. None of the city DAs said, hold on a minute, that you can't do that. City defense attorneys. Every city has a defense attorney. And when you sue the defense attorney, when you sue the city, the defense attorney comes in the court to defend the city. None of the city defense attorneys ever said, wait a minute, we're going to get in trouble for this? Federal judges. Federal judges, the only time a federal judge opens their mouth is when you ask them. The formal proceeding for asking a federal judge a question is to hire a lawyer and have your lawyer present a deposition to the court for the court to review. But no one asked a federal judge. No federal judge violated their protocol and came out before being asked. I cannot get over. I did not hear about this until recently, even though it happened over 20 years ago. My range director, he lived in New York City in the 70s. Now he lives here in Yonkers. He works for the city. It's a city range. He knew a guy that used to come to our range that got one of these letters, surrender your arms. So he knew about it all those years ago. We are so obsessed with public safety, we are willing to violate the Constitution to falsely gain it. Okay? Here's the issue. Gun owners are law-abiding citizens. Period. The government already has laws forbidding criminals from owning guns. Period. There are people that honestly believe and are wrong that the criminal buys their gun in the gun store. There are criminals, there are people that believe that all gun owners are the same. There's no difference between me and Dylan Klebold. I'm a killer too. Now, anti-gun politicians are perfectly willing to violate the Constitution to give these people a false sense of security. They tell these people, I'll make it a felony for anyone to own a rifle with a collapsible buttstock. And because I make it a felony for a law-abiding citizen to own a rifle with a collapsible buttstock, because I take a shotgun away from a law-abiding citizen that didn't do anything wrong at all, period, you're going to be safe. And you're relying on the vote of that stupid person. You brainwash that person to believe they're going to be safe if you take weapons away from law-abiding citizens. And your hope is that the ignorant person outnumbers the gun owner when election day comes. No anti-gun politician ever, whether it was Adolf Hitler or Dianne Feinstein, no anti-gun politician ever believed so strongly in gun control they told their bodyguard not to carry one or they gave up their own gun. Period.